Hey, good morning. This is Rich from Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? And a belated Happy Mother's Day to all you ladies out there who have children. May God bless you. Because you're going to need it. Spoken like a true empty nester, right? Anyway, the wife and I, we appreciate the best wishes. Both of us are up and going and feeling like human beings. We had a great Mother's Day. Our daughter and granddaughter came down, surprise visit, and it was kind of nice. Had the in-laws over and so forth, so we had a pretty good time. Other than the fact I was putting in a what I call a bug shield around my garden. That's about a 4-foot swatch of just plain dirt. Kind of keeps the bugs. The bugs don't like to get out in just plain dirt with no cover. Kind of holds down on the bugs getting into your garden. Anyway, as I was doing that, I discovered something that whatever fool, and I'll use that term because it really fits, put the water line in to coming out here to the barn, only buried that line about 4 to 6 inches under the ground. Needless to say, you ought to see what a rototiller does to PVC pipe when you hit it. So, along with everything else, I got to dig out this water line and cap it off because it's got to be totally redone. When I found out it was that far underground, it's a small miracle that we haven't had a bust in this thing and a lot of problems. So we was digging out a water line. It took a little bit, really. But by the time company all arrived, we were done with it. Wouldn't let the wife do much digging because I figured, with her just recovering from a tore-up back, that's the last thing in the world she needed to be doing. But we got it done and moved on to other things. It's still a work day, even though you got some company by. You just kind of, when you take your break, get to visit. And so that was kind of fun. And me and the granddaughter took a tour of the back pastures, and oh, Lord, we have a lot of wild blackberries down here in the fence rows, and they're all blooming right now. And I got to tell you, if we only get 25% of what's out there in berries, we're going to have more blackberries that we're going to know what to do with. It's really... We've been kind of cultivating them a little bit and cutting them back and getting a lot of new growth going on them. And we're going to be eating a lot of pies and cobblers and jellies and jams next year. No two ways about that. And for all you that wonder how I keep my schoolgirl figure at my age, if you got a very round schoolgirl, I guess I got a schoolgirl figure. That's how. Wife makes up a lot of blackberry cobblers and things like that. And to some of you old timers, blackberry dumplings. That right there is my favorite, man. I can sit down with a big old pot of those things and a large spoon, and I'm a happy dude for the next couple of days. So anyway, what I want to talk to you about today is a continuation, really, of the barn chat from last Monday, is being foolish with your money and your spending. And the best way I can think of to tell you is I'd met a couple a few years back. A young couple had bought a large farm, about 160 acres. It had a nice little house on it, a little bitty small horse barn, and not much fencing, just a little horse pasture. Thank you, Henry. A little horse pasture out front of the house. And they spent a pretty good chunk of change on it and did most of it in a mortgage, which is something I wouldn't advise them to do. But we talked a little bit, and he was kind of picking my head, and I told him, I said, if you really watch your spending and your costs, concentrate on income streams, y'all can do okay. Well, that very same couple went out and spent a lot of money, and I'm talking a lot of money, fencing in the property, putting in paddocks and pastures, spent a lot of money building a large barn, spent a lot of money building a big commercial greenhouse, know, they really dumped a truckload of money into infrastructure. Sorry about the shakiness there. And I guess it was a couple of years ago, I was talking to the young man, and he was telling me about a deal he'd ran across on a dozen cows. They were 3- and 4-year-olds, all of them second calf cows that were bred. Most of them were, 6 to 8 months bred. And, well, these chickens just are really working me over here. Needless to say, our polywire did not come in. It got back ordered. So our chickens are cooped up because our neighbor and us have our gardens in, and needless to say, they can't be out free ranging because the gardens would be their favorite place to eat. And they're not happy about it. And when they hear me out here, they voice their concerns. Polywire got back ordered, supposed to be shipped today. Hopefully I'll be able to get these birds out of here in the next couple of days and have a section of the pasture that they can come out of the coop and go into. But right now they're not happy, as you can hear. And then, of course, we're getting the I just laid an egg chant going on. Anyway, back to this young couple. He didn't have the money. He had spent all his cash on infrastructure projects and had not really provided his farm with any means to make an income. So they didn't have any equipment, never bought a tractor. They said they had a neighbor who had bush hog for them. Well, it eventually turned out that the neighbor got tired of bush hogging for free, and which is going to happen. Because, they might be, listen, Captain Jack, you keep it up, you're going to end up in the stew pot. Now, go on. Even the best of neighbors will begin to say that there is a certain spot when you are no longer, you're taking advantage of it. So always be aware. You want to be able to maintain your own land. That's the only right thing to do. And then also, if you had that neighbor out there helping you out, make sure you return the favors to them. But anyway, these chickens are really pushing it. Anyway, young man didn't have the money to take advantage of it. He said they were asking like $900 a head. Well, Lord, I could have ran them into the auction that day and made myself, $300-400 a head off of them without ever taking them off the trailer. But instead, I brought them out to the farm, put them out in pasture, let them go ahead and calf, let them fatten up and get nice and sassy, and got them bred back. And at that time, we sold them as cow-calf pairs that were bred back. And needless to say, just more than doubled our money. And did it in about 10 months. Okay, that's not a bad return on investment, folks. But the thing of it is, I had the cash, and I offered him a little less than what he was asking. But while I was talking to him, I had taken that money out of my pocket to where he could see it, because that really helps with negotiating with people. If they're needing the cash and they're looking at the big pile of it you got in your hand, suddenly they're a lot more willing to talk. Now it's no longer a hypothetical situation. Now they're looking at, I could have that pile of money there if I say yes. So, that's a way to go with it. Now let's fast forward here. A few weeks back, I got to meet the new owners of that 160-acre farm that they'd bought off the bank, needless to say. And while sorry to hear that, the mistakes that young couple was making brought them to that. So, you feel sorry for them in a way, but in other ways you think, folks, you had no business out there doing what you did, and you really did yourself in. But this couple, they're pretty bright. They got relatively little livestock. They had bought some calves, some weaned calves, some heifers and a bull, and they're going to raise them up from calves and start their breeding stock. Smart move. And instead of paying, $1,800 for a breeding cow, they're starting out with calves that I think he gave around $700, $800 a piece for. So his cost is going to be down on his stock. The greenhouse, they are right now, what led to me meeting them and so forth, they had a big sign up along the road, organic plants for gardens for sale. When they had bought the place, they immediately put that greenhouse to use. And here it is, the very first spring that these folks were on that farm, they were really happy about how much they had gotten in sales off of the greenhouse. Difference is, folks, is these people are dealing in cash. I would venture to say that this guy has probably more money than the young couple had, but he also fully understands stuff happens out here, and you don't spend anything you don't have to spend right then. So he's developed streams of income based on what he has, and he's going about it very smartly. So let me try to tell you, folks, just because you got a couple $100 in the bank, don't get crazy. Leave that $200 in the bank and leave it sit there till it turns into $10,000, $12,000. We have a rule of thumb is we want enough cash laying there to where if everything collapsed around us, we could live for about a year before we were in a state of panic. That'd get us through another growing season. I am going to stew that rooster, so help me, Hannah. Anyway, use your head. I know I look out at this place. I got all kinds of projects I want to get done. I got solar and wind power I want to put in place. But we set aside a certain percentage of the income off the farm for that project. And when we have the money there, we'll proceed. Until we have the money there, we're not going to go get a loan. We're not going to empty out our other bank accounts to get this done. It's going to have to wait. Plan. Watch every dime you're going to spend. It's not as trust me, spending money's fun. Okay, it is fun. But every time you walk into a co-op or a tractor supply or something like that, you'll see 24 things that you'd like to have. Don't do it. Okay? If it's in tractor supply or co-op, you can probably get on Craigslist or some of their swap pages that are out there on the internet and things of this nature, and you can end up getting the exact same thing for 25% its original cost, and you might have to make a little repair, but so what? Don't get crazy. Okay? Use your head. This young couple had made the mistake of they built a farm without any income producing means. Well, you're going to fail. If your land's not producing an income for you, you're done. Okay, especially if you're packing a mortgage. Where this other couple took what they bought and they used it to immediately start generating income. And then they're going to use what extra income they have coming off of that place to deal with issues and to improve on infrastructures and things of this nature. They were talking about they'd like to put in another greenhouse, but I kind of got a kick out of the gentleman's statement was, if we keep going with the sales and we do all right with our other programs we got going, we may have enough money by late winter to go ahead. Captain Jack, me and you're about to dance. That they can go ahead and probably get their greenhouse in time for their planning for next spring. So they're thinking, they're using their head, they're planning, they're watching every dime they spend, and they're going about it smartly. Folks, if you don't do that, you're going to have problems. It's going to jump up and down. Might not bite you immediately, but the first time things get really rough, it's going to bite you. Use your head. Don't spend a dime you don't have to spend. Keep it in the bank. And then you have the money there when opportunities come along that, hey, I can take this money now and spend it, and then, sure thing, make my money back very quickly. And then some. When you run across those kind of opportunities, that's when you strike. That's when you spend. When you have an opportunity to generate a large amount of cash revenue for your farm, that's when you spend your money, okay? Otherwise, little foo-foo stuff. I watched a lady buy at Tractor Supply, and I love this. She bought a 5-foot rooster that she was going to put in her backyard. A 5-foot rooster, sheet metal. $200, folks, for basically a lawn ornament. It's like, for heaven's sakes, really? Have you got that kind of money? And I watched her go put that into the back end of probably a 10-year-old pickup truck. It's like, oh, man, really? So use your heads. Just because you can buy it don't mean you should buy it. Things have to wait. And if you're frugal, you build what you can build. If you don't know how to build it, you go out and learn. And, yeah, it may not look as pretty as the store-bought one, but maybe your next one will, So use your heads, folks. Don't get crazy. And this is really geared to you young homesteaders. Think hard. This is a situation to where you're not going to be able to get out there and build yourself a mega farm out of pocket. It isn't going to happen. Your first thoughts should always be, how can I make money with what I got right now without having to invest a bunch of money in it? Okay? If you start thinking like that, you'll do like this other couple that bought that foreclosed farm, and you start generating income without spending a dime other than what they had to spend to buy the place. Okay? And they're doing really well with it. And so use your head, folks. That's all I can tell you. I know there's going to be some of you that go, no, I'm not worried about that. That's not going to happen to me. That is one of the myths of youth, folks. That bad things aren't going to happen to you. It is a fact that out here, bad things happen to very good people. Be advised. And if you're going to go out and make foolish mistakes, you're going to pay a price for it. Okay? So anyway, try to take some of that to heart. And if you do these things, you'll be successful. Hard work, work smart, build everything and do everything you can without spending a dime on it. And just use your head. Think, plan. Sit down with your wife and talk about these things and say, how do we generate an income with exactly what we have now? How much more are we going to need to do? I'm sure those folks had to go out and buy potting soil and planters and seed, so they had to invest a little bit more, but they saw an immediate return on their investment. That's what you need to be thinking about. Homesteads, if you're looking for self-sufficiency, has to be ran like a business. Please get your businessman's hat on whenever you're sitting down to make decisions. Anyway, once again, happy belated Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I ain't talking to you guys either. I'm talking to the ladies who actually have children. And I hope this finds you have an absolutely wonderful day. We're kind of gray and cloudy, and they're forecasting rain, but I'm going to trust that maybe they hold it off long enough for me to get this back pastures bush hogged a little bit. But you guys have a wonderful day, and please take some of this to heart. I've seen so many people, good people, that have went under because of foolish mistakes. Please don't make them. Jobs disappear, incomes change, stuff happens, droughts, storms, you name it. Use your head. Prepare for the worst, and then you can you can take advantage of some great opportunities that present themselves every now and again. But you're going to have cash in hand, okay? And you're not going to have cash in hand if you go out and buy 5-foot, $200 roosters. That's probably the silliest thing I've seen done in years. Anyway, you all have a great day, and this is Rich from Tennessee Homestead. We'll talk to you later.